Hi, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to wrap back to the nutrition pillar, and I really want to talk to you about whole grains and high fiber foods and how that can help you in your health goals. So when we talk about what types of food we eat, you can see the picture on the left is called SAD, or the Standard American Diet. A lot of processed foods, a lot of what I call the white foods, so shakes, cakes, pies, fries, chips, and dips, highly processed packaged foods. I want to encourage you to start making small changes that can help shift you along this spectrum towards more of a whole food, plant focused diet. And one of the most important things I try to get people to do is choose more brown foods. So, what are the brown foods? These are what we call whole grains. When I talk about a whole grain, it's really as close as the grain came off the plant as possible. So, you can see down here in the bottom corner, we have a kernel of rice. So, rice and all grains are really the seeds for those plants. And those seeds are packaged in that fiber or bran with some carbohydrates on the inside and the germ, which is basically the baby seed. That carbohydrate is there to fuel the seed as the plant grows, and the bran is to protect the seed so that it doesn't dry out. Now, most people, when I say rice, think of white rice. Well, brown rice is rice. That's how it comes off the plant. And we make it white rice by processing it and removing the bran, removing the germ. So really all you're left with is the simple carbohydrate or a simple sugar, and it breaks down very quickly in your stomach into glucose, which goes into your bloodstream. And you can use that as energy, but most of us are eating more carbohydrates and converting into more glucose than we can use for energy. So that leads to some of the health problems we deal with in this country. So when I say choose brown foods, I want you to choose the grains in the form that they came in nature. So this is things like brown rice. And brown rice comes in multiple forms. Again, it's just rice. So if you like jasmine rice, there's brown jasmine rice because that's how it started. So you might need to explore and try some new items. Whole wheat, barley, farro, oats. Steel cut oats are the least processed. Rolled oats are slightly more processed, but still we'll consider them a whole grain. Quinoa. Think about things like millet, things like teff. These are all whole grains that have been used around the world for centuries to feed and fuel people. I also include potatoes in my white foods. The way that potatoes have been changed through agriculture over the last 1,000 years, again, leaves a very readily accessible carbohydrate that turns basically straight into glucose. However, sweet potatoes are going to be a better choice for you. So think about choosing a more colorful or brown version of the carbohydrates that you already like. It's going to help you make a healthier choice. And this is why. Brown carbohydrates have fiber. Fiber helps you feel full longer, and I'll show you a slide about that in just a moment. And it also helps slow down the digestion of your carbohydrates into glucose because it's a more complex carbohydrate, so it takes longer to break down in your body. Now you can look at a bowl of steel cut oats and a plain bagel, and I'll ask you which one is the healthier choice because I don't think that all carbohydrates are bad. I encourage people to eat a high carbohydrate diet, but one that includes a lot of whole foods and a lot of whole grains. So you can see your bowl of steel cut oats has less than half the calories of a plain bagel. It has half the carbohydrates as well and twice the fiber. So you can imagine how eating a bowl of steel cut oats, perhaps topped with some berries or nuts, is going to help you feel full and stay full for longer versus that plain bagel, which you're going to eat. You might still feel hungry after eating it, and then your blood glucose is going to spike and crash, and you'll be craving something else later. So fiber is really filling. It helps you feel full and stay full longer. It's really only found in plant foods. So you need to eat a lot of fruits, veggies, beans, and whole grains to get fiber from your food. So here are some options to choosing higher fiber foods. Looking for a mix of fiber and protein in your foods. When you're thinking about cereal, look for at least 3 grams of fiber in the cereal. Look for at least 2 grams of fiber in your bread. I would vote for more. Look for the term whole wheat as the first ingredient or whole grains. You still want to look at the ingredient list. You want that grain to be the first ingredient. And our goal is 25 to 35 grams of fiber a day. Most people are not getting anywhere close to this. So if you're able to make some changes that add more fruits and veggies to your diet, more whole grains, you're going to increase your fiber and you'll feel full longer. And this is why. So when you look at how much your stomach gets filled up by 500 calories of any type of food, you can see that oil, dairy, and animal products, 500 calories doesn't fill up your stomach very much. So you might eat a high calorie load, but you're not feeling full. Now, if you start adding in some whole grains, some rice, some beans, some sweet potatoes, you can see how your stomach gets a lot more full. Then you add fruits and veggies, and you can't really eat more than 500 calories of broccoli, right? You're going to be too full. So, thinking about blending these fruits, veg, beans, and whole grains together, you can get a very filling meal that has a high nutritional value and a low caloric value. So here's where to find fiber on your nutrition label. I encourage you all to start looking at nutrition labels. There's a couple things you'll want to look on here. What's the serving size, right? That bag of chips is more than one serving. If you're going to eat the whole thing, you need to know what you're about to do. For the purpose of this talk, I want to show you here where to find the dietary fiber. You may have heard the term before, net carbohydrate. That means the total carbohydrates in any material. That means the total carbohydrate in any food, where you can see right here, minus the fiber. So 37 grams of carbs, but there's 4 grams of fiber there. That's a pretty good amount per serving. That's going to lower your total carbs to 33 grams. The other place I want you to look, and we'll talk about it more, is this included grams of added sugar. This is sugar that has been added just to increase the flavor of this food, and we don't need it. So think about looking for things with high fiber, a decent amount of protein, and low added sugar. That's going to serve you really well when you're making food choices in the grocery store. So that's what I have to share with you about whole grains. I really encourage you to choose some brown foods and maybe experiment. Try some new ones. Try some new recipes. You may find that you like them. Also, trying new things, you might have to try it a couple times before you really get the taste of it. You might feel more full when you start choosing whole grain items. It's also good for lowering cholesterol, managing blood pressure, helping with digestion. So you can see that choosing whole grains is part of a healthy diet and lifelong health. Thank you for joining me today. This is Dr. Joan Hunter to Your Good Health.